The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Ta-da! Newsflash! 2025 Worst Vehicle, National Association of Terrorist Car Bombs. Yay! They won. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to Team Shit Show. This is Chris joining me tonight to talk about some of the terrible stuff that's happened the last couple of days. It happened on January 1st, but what we've been talking about for 2 days. So we thought we would fill in some gaps and discuss some of the things that we feel is behind what's happening, and a few things like that for tonight. So how are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, Janet.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I guess we'll get right down and dirty. I just thought the whole Cybertruck thing was really funny when I saw that come across my timeline about the, from the Babylon Bee. I thought it was great. So this next one I'm going to show you is, let's see, it's this one. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this gentleman. I guess you call it, is it how you pronounce his name? Shahzud Jabbar. Is that right?
Shamuddin Jabbar, I think.
Yeah, I did an 8-hour stream yesterday live from the moment I woke up all day long. I wore my pajamas. I didn't eat. And I took a couple breaks to go to the bathroom. That was it because I drank a cup of coffee and a little bit of lemonade. But since it happened in New Orleans, where I had left, moved away from to come where I'm at today, and knowing people and knowing the quarter and all that, it's very traumatic for me, especially since I haven't heard from 3 people still. There's 3 people I haven't heard back from. So I just don't have any information. And they work down the quarter. But they're saying from this video I'm going to share. Basically, it's him driving in the white truck and then him quickly turning right onto Bourbon Street, around a police car, onto the sidewalk, running over people at the very beginning, and then barreling down the road until he crashed and the police shot him, and he shot back or whatever and shot 2 police, and they're in the hospital. But the thing is that people who haven't been down to the quarter don't understand the streets are not 2-lane roads down there. They're 1 lane, and there's barely enough room for a car to park on one side. And then you have the wide sidewalks that have balconies over them and stuff down in the corner. It's not a typical road like you see on Canal Street. Canal Street is 4 lanes, and it has road area for the trolleys, that ride the rails up and down. So it's not the same thing. It's totally different types of roads, and it's set up in a grid, and it goes one way on one block, and it goes the opposite direction on the next. So it's set up that way as long as I've known and lived there. That's always been set that way. And that's just the way it works. And the people are the ones that usually rule the roost. Now, they have to have vehicles come in because they're all businesses down there. You've got restaurants, you've got bars, you have hotels, you have Airbnbs, you have apartments for people that actually live in these apartments above a lot of these businesses. And they have to be able to get people to work there, food to restock, the bars, all that type of stuff. So you have to be able to let traffic go in and out. That's just the way it is. That's reality. And the fact that a police car was there and the guy swove around it to hit people and get down there proves that he was bent on killing people. So, because a normal person that just was drunk or whatever wouldn't have took the way he did. They would have crashed into the police car or whatever, but it wouldn't have ended up that way. This person, right from the get-go, you could tell he was out to hurt people. So I'm going to show this video real quick. There really isn't any sound, but I'll make it bigger, and we can watch it. And you'll see that the truck is over here. It's hard to tell, but that's what they're doing. Watch. See, there's an ISIS flag on the back of that truck. Now, I had the picture on my live stream I did yesterday that I did not do on YouTube due to the fact that I didn't have blurred out pictures and stuff. And I knew YouTube would go for it, so I didn't even air on YouTube. But all the people you just saw at the end of that video in front of the podium, except for the FBI agent, they want to get this taken care of because their whole identity is in the city of New Orleans is revenue from tourists. So without tourists, there is no revenue. Okay. The city's going to collapse if they don't have football games, hockey games, baseball games, all the different things that tourists go there for, the ships going out, on cruise ships going out, all that stuff. Without tourists, there is no New Orleans. Okay, so when you had Kennedy and Laundrie and the chief of police, and then you had the mayor, all of them there, all of their careers depend on tourist industry. So if they don't get to the bottom of this and make people feel safe, people aren't going to travel to New Orleans. They'll go somewhere else where they feel safe, and that's a sad thing to say, but that's a fact. That's why I really believe that these people are going to do everything they have to find out every detail they can about why this person came here and did what he did and who helped him. and I really do believe that. I've lived there, and I'm telling you, it's the best city I've ever been in my life. Everyone was so friendly. It didn't matter whether you were short, tall, fat, skinny, old, black, Asian, white. It didn't matter. Grown men wore tutus walking down the street. Nobody cared. Everybody accepted everybody as they were. Everybody worked together. It was just a wonderful, wonderful place to live. I loved it, and I miss it. I miss it so bad. There's so much to do. It's fingertips. You could drive down one block and buy a daiquiri at the drive-through and take it home and drink it, enjoy it. You're not supposed to drink it while you're driving, but you could do that. I had access to that. And now I have to drive 48 miles just to buy wine. So I miss it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful city. And it just breaks my heart to see what happened there. And I can see why they chose that city. I mean, they know it was always going to have people. It doesn't matter what time of day. You're going to have hundreds of people down in the quarter. That's just where people go. People spend their money down there. It was New Year's Eve at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was still crowded with people. And they knew that, or this person knew that. And I feel they'd been there earlier because they said there were IUDs, or is that how you say it? IUD? IED? What is it? Did I say it right?
Yeah. Improvised explosive device.
Yeah, so they found them laying around here and there, wherever, and some in his vehicle. So he was wanting to hurt a lot of people before he died, and he knew he was going to die. Most of these people have death by cop, because they pull their guns out and they know the cops are going to shoot back. And he knew that was going to happen to him. So when you heard about it, what did you think was going on?
To be honest with you, I really didn't get to see a lot about it in the day, until today. As you know, I've been traveling a lot. But I will just say this, because one of the things you said, the FBI announced this afternoon, and everybody's worried, was he working with someone? Mm-hmm. And to say that he wasn't working with someone, they did establish that he had detonation devices for those coolers that he had left that had the bombs in them.
Yeah, I think it was strapped around his neck.
Yeah, and then they went to his house, and he posted a social media video right mm-hmm. before he left his house saying, "I'm going to kill some people." And he said mm-hmm. in the video, that he was a pro-ISIS individual. So they're really, as you stated, they're working on it really, really hard. And I just saw that report after I turned off the football game and before we came on. So mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I have another video I want to share. This came across my timeline. But you remember, I had so many people sending me links out the wazoo yesterday because I was streaming for almost, over 8.5 hours. But I couldn't think straight anymore. I was so tired. But all I wanted was to see as it unfolded and to see how more and more information came out, and how they did say, the FBI said they knew he was working with somebody. That somebody was working with him. And so what was interesting is before that even came up in any of the messages and stuff that, that they were going through, was the Cybertruck, right? Exploded in Las Vegas. And I was like, interesting, because they didn't make it sound like it was an attack. They just said there's fire or smoke in front of the Trump Tower. That's all they said. And then little by little, I was getting more and more messages from other people up Discord, and they were saying, no, it was a truck exploded in front of it. And I was like, oh, so it was kind of like what they thought. This person thought, this is what I was thinking in my head, that it was going to be like what happened in the Oklahoma City bombing, right? He pulls up packed, filled with explosives to blow up the front of the Trump building using an Elon Musk vehicle, basically to give him a big F you. You know what I mean? That's all that popped in my head. And then when I found out it was a cyber truck, and I said, well, that's not going to do any damage because it was basically built to not let damage come in. So how would it let damage come out unless the guy had drilled holes in there or did some other stuff to the vehicle? It wouldn't, it just blow out. And basically, that's what happened. He blew himself up in a vehicle that didn't explode. So that's why I played that thing at the very beginning, because basically he was not very smart, whoever it was. And right away, Elon got a hold of the FBI right after that. And told them all about what I guess they needed to know, because there's a certain number with every one of the vehicles or something. And, and another thing I thought was interesting was the fact that none of the windows blew out. Not one window blew out in the front of the Trump Tower. So either they got really good glass, or that truck really withheld that explosion pretty well. So this next thing that I wanted to bring up is a tour, basically, of the house of the first guy that drove down the street and killed all those people. So let me, I think this is the one. Yeah.
Just real quick on the Elon thing, the Teslas film everything. In other words, if somebody walks around your vehicle, it'll come on and film them, and they use that for auto theft and whatnot. Also, because of the full self-driving, every single place that vehicle goes is inside the system. So when something like this happens, they can go straight to the onboard computer and literally get videotape of everything.
Well, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but the guy apparently didn't want to burn up. He didn't want to burn up, so he shot himself in the head. Because when he pulled in, I said, well, isn't there a video showing him leaving, or the person who dropped off the vehicle walking away? And they said no. And I said, well, then he's they're dead in the truck then, because nobody could, if you were in that vehicle, there's no way you could survive all that I saw. And he didn't, basically, because he was a coward and he shot himself in the head. But I wanted to share this. I found this on my time. It says a tour of the house of the person was staying in. It's an Airbnb, apparently, that the guy was staying in, and they found a bomb making station and a Quran open to a chilling passage about martyrdom. So I'm going to open this up so you guys can hear it and see it.
Yeah, I think that they did say in that report I heard right before we came on that they suspect that the two men who did this knew each other. Well,
plus, and that was another thing I brought up during my 8-hour stream before I had a lot of information. As soon as the Cybertruck came back, I was like, how did this guy, okay, a military guy, because I know a lot of military guys, afford a Tesla truck? So I was thinking, well, maybe he rented it. So he rented a truck and took it there to blow it up. See what I mean? So guess what? He did rent it. He rented it from the same place this guy that's going to be the place that we're about to go through, rented his vehicle from. The same people. So I hope they've shut that business down right now, and we're going through all the people who've rented vehicles from them, because we might catch some people before they do something else.
That is what they said about them renting the vehicles at the same place, and that's also where I picked up that information that all three of the people involved in the holiday mass killings were all stationed at Fort Bragg.
Yeah. So, the other guy, though, that was stationed there was a guy that tried to kill Trump at the golf course.
Right.
Yeah. So it's only 2 people involved in the terrorist attack so far that they know of. And the third guy was a guy that sat in the tree for 7 hours. But he's a nut job, too. So there's something going on. They're doing that, what is that, something ultra or whatever. They're using them on, well, they're recruiting people in the military and having them ready to go when they need them.
We're here inside the New Orleans terrorist home. You can see that it's been clearly destroyed, the door at least, from the FBI raid yesterday. But if we walk through the home, we see some signs of what he was up to. He had this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around, and different electronics. This is, again, a work setup. Left receipts, just very unkempt in here. If we go over here, actually, you can see the Department of Justice documents here, the search warrant, and the property that they recorded here, which seems to be a lot of chemicals. Again, just left in disarray. There's a bedroom back here, and his what appears to be his collection of religious materials, his Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam, and his prayer rug just to the left of me here. And if we go back, there's another bedroom here. You can see he left all these belongings, contact lenses, personal belongings, bathroom. This seems to be some sort of workspace, again, with other chemicals here. The light's still on, some kind of station set up here. We're not really sure what that was for. In, you know, what we can assume was also a bedroom. You can see clothes left here, and just a sign that someone was here up until those last few moments when neighbors said he left just before the New Year's holiday, saying he was done with his lease. It was up and he was on his way to New Orleans where he would live there. Didn't take any furniture because he said his new home would be furnished. That's all we know so far.
Pretty creepy. So this was his house in Houston before he left to go to New Orleans and commit all those murders by killing it, because he was going out with a bang, because, you know, they all want to get their 72 virgins, you know, when they die, and they're all waiting for him, and they're all virgins. So it's just so funny. It's like, you know, what's the thing with virgins? I don't understand that, but they're all virgins. So apparently they must be all little kids. That's why they're obsessed with children. It's disgusting. But yeah, you could tell this guy was busy planning. He was working on a plan, and there's no way you can do all that when you're going to see some of this other stuff about his divorce and about how he had no money and all this different stuff. Because during the stream that I was doing yesterday, I'll share the link in a minute. Unless you guys already know, I have a Rumble. I have a Rumble and an X account, and I live streamed on X and Rumble for over 8 hours, trying to add different information as it was coming out. As every new thing I could find, I was trying to put it on there. So I do have that, thank goodness, recorded. But the other thing I played was a video someone sent me of him as a realtor, telling people, please, you know, I'm going to help you do this or whatever with your to sell your property and blah blah blah. And he was clean cut, wearing a suit jacket and everything. And then Bruce was on the show with me, and yeah, someone sent him a picture showing the guy dead, laying in the street with a weird collar around his neck. And the only thing I could think of about that collar, it looked like he had his detonator on that, so that if they were going to take him out, that he was going to somehow activate the detonator. And that's how I think they realized, oh, we got IEDs, because there was some kind of detonator on his neck.
You know what?
I mean?
I think that the whole time I'm listening to you talk, you know what's really hitting me? The FBI looks at people that want to go to school board meetings, or it looks at people that are patriotic Americans that want to fight for what's right. Or they look at Catholic churches and call them terrorists, right? And I promise you, somebody was saying, man, this guy's going off, right? But that name of his, right after the tarmac meeting between Attorney General and Bill Clinton, when they were trying to wipe all that free for Hillary, they did an executive order that said you couldn't say anything bad about a Muslim or talk against Islam or any of that. And she made it a crime. People forget. She made it they committed war against Christians. Shut up, go back in your house. You don't have anything to say. at the exact same time that they made it a law not to be able to talk bad about Muslims. Now, if you go back to when they did the Patriot Act, they were going to make sure we never had any terrorists communicating with each other in the United States. Well, that's not what they did. They stopped Christians and patriots and faithful Americans from being able to talk, people that love children. So you can't say anything about all these child trafficking things that our government's involved in, which we discussed before the show, of what exactly are they involved in and how deep. And
they're making money.
This is my personal opinion. Trust me, this is just a personal opinion. But when John Brennan was the CIA bureau chief in Saudi Arabia, he converted to Islam. And his group of people that he appointed and put in his place do make things like this easier to happen. And what the Attorney General did, doing it, that was very discriminatory. And the real fact is, we're not supposed to mix religion with government at all, ever, for any reason. The government is a business, right? And their job is to protect Americans and keep the bank from collapsing. And now they're into all this crazy social engineering and all these other things. And at the same time, they've attacked one religion while opening a door for another. So I think all of those things play into them having the brevity to think that they can do this, because if he didn't kill himself, he'd probably be out of jail right now. And that's scary.
Well, it is scary, but you got to think about it. This is how I look at it. Okay, we have people that look down their nose at me because I'm a conservative, which means I'm a Christian, okay? But they look down their nose at me because they assume, she's a horrible person because she hates black people because she's white. She hates women that might want to get an abortion. Okay, well, not knowing me at all, they don't know a single thing about me. They just assume this about me. They get other people to assume that about other people just simply by the way they dress or the way that they speak or things like that. So people on the street that don't know me, they see me, depending on where you live, they probably wouldn't even notice. They don't even care, and most people don't. They just go to Walmart, they go to their other shopping and do their stuff. They could care less whether you're wearing a tutu or army gear or whatever. As long as you're not waving a gun around, they could care less because it doesn't affect their lives. But as soon as it starts affecting their lives and someone's telling them constantly, that lady over there, she's a conservative and she thinks you're a pig. She hates you because you are on food stamps or whatever lies they tell them. Over time, these people start to believe that and they think that everyone that votes this way hates them. That's it. That's how easy it is. It's propaganda, and they listen to it and they learn from it. Just like these people, this guy that did this stuff, I'm not making excuses for him, but instead of trying to work it out by getting another job or looking for other resources, or we don't know for sure because we won't find that out. Because if this guy went to Army Resources over and over again, because he had PTSD, like I have friends that do that, and they don't have, they go, I've called the hotline and I've been put on hold before. And that's not a good thing. And that's a real soldier that's been to war and he's needing help and is supposed to be there. But we have billions of dollars to send to Ukraine, but we don't have $100,000 per state to keep a hotline running for a veteran. See, it does not make sense. This administration does not treat the American citizen as well as they treat all these other people. And if you're an American citizen soldier, you're even way down on the list. They don't care if you're drunk. They don't care if you're an alcoholic. They don't care if you're a drug addict. They don't care if you're in the street. They could care less 2 cents for you if you're not still in the military. And they don't even treat their military good. Remember 2 years ago when Biden said all these American soldiers were saying, hey, we can't pay our bills. We don't have enough money. Some of them are working 2 jobs and serving in the military. And he tells them, get on food stamps. That's what he
Yeah,
said.
you're preaching to the choir because
Well, I know, but
I'm-
there's
I'm
people out
fighting
there that
right
don't know
now.
that.
Okay, I'm fighting right now. They refuse to treat me at my local VA. I walked across a walkway into the hospital where the medical students who treat there
Mhm.
are, which I'm totally allowed to do. I was treated, and I was so sick from being ignored by the VA for 3 years that it cost about $27,000 for all the treatments that I had to go through. And the VA wants me to pay for it. They're trying to destroy my credit. I'm a 100% disabled veteran with bullet
Mhm.
holes in the whole 9 yards. Our Veterans Administration is extremely sick. And I've been in the VA in the last 3 years when they had civilians in VA medical facilities. That's a huge no-go. So, you know, when we get to the bottom of what exactly they've been doing, yes, the border crisis is a big deal. Yeah, it is. Right? Is taxation and all this inflation, all this other stuff we got. They have dismantled the United States Department of Defense. And it's going to take a lot to get it right. And those kind of issues right there at the middle of it. So, you know, we really do have a lot to do. I know electing Trump was like, yeah, that's great. But that's almost like getting a shovel and saying you're going to dig a pool and taking the first shovel load out.
Well,
we got a lot of digging to do.
that's what I said. I've been saying that all along, is that it's wonderful that we had a sea of red. Okay, they all see that they're sick of this shit and they want something better. So they all worked their butts off and did what they had to do to get to the polls, and we had a red wave basically. He even won popular vote. Okay, and which is great. Okay, but for some reason, the people voted for Trump, but they didn't vote for. They still voted for Democrats to run their states and their cities. So we barely have one seat majority. Okay, so I don't know how that worked out. So to me, there still was cheating going on, because that's not normal. Okay,
Well,
but we have to deal with what we have. The thing is, we still need to work from our homes, in our cities, and in our towns, and in our states to
Right.
back the stuff that Trump decides to do. We have to back him, because if we don't back him like we got him in, nothing's going to work. Okay, you can't expect him to do everything with an executive order. That it's just not.
Yeah, he
that's
can't.
feasible.
He can't. That has
work.
to stop. That's something that's completely out of control that has to stop. You know, one of the, I think he's going to do executive orders with the border and with immigration laws. But you know, I feel the same way that Elon has said he feels. Trump said he feels. I played on an international soccer team. Played soccer in Europe in the 70s. I played with Africans and Mexicans and everything else. And I've always been a proponent of international mingling with people. But there is a law in the United States of America that says if you carry two flags, if you say I'm an American and you came here from Palestine and you're carrying a Palestinian flag, that is grounds to be extradited from the United States of America. It's in the law.
Because I remember when I was young, I don't know what it was. It was at some picnic or something, and I think it was Cinco de Mayo or something like that, and people were wearing flags from Mexico, Mexican flags or something, another flag. I just knew it wasn't American, and I asked my mom, I said, why are they wearing all those flags and not wearing American flags? And she said, well, they're celebrating a holiday or whatever. And I said, okay, still doesn't make any sense. They moved here, they live here. So why aren't they Americans? And my mom told me this. She said, lots of people want to come to America and be free, but they don't want to assimilate. That's what my mother told me.
Right.
And she said, so they come here, they never learn to speak English, and they're not made to. So we're forced to have to hire teachers that can speak whatever language these people speak and teach them so that they can graduate and get a job and make money. And I said, but they came to America. Why don't they want to fit in with the rest of the Americans? And Mom says, I don't know. That's what she told me, and I remember that. But see, I traveled. I lived somewhere almost every 2 years of my growing up. I lived
can't
on
help
a
but
different
laugh.
base.
You know, I've moved back to Georgia about 5 years ago, but the last 8 years in Nashville, that's the way we felt about California. It's just like, you came here because you like how laid back and country and chilled out it is, and you're trying to turn us into San Francisco. You left there because it was what it was. You know, so even in the smaller group dynamics, if you want to leave one area because you hate it, why would you bring what you hate with you? In California, they're Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee. I can name a few cities. They have destroyed them. And because they wouldn't assimilate. You know, it's not, if you're in a group, you just don't take what you're from your group in another group and start causing problems. That's not healthy for the groups. It's not healthy for the individual or anything. You know, there's a certain amount of healthiness in segregation from your internal view looking out. You don't want to be around people that don't like you or hate you. That's probably what this dude, Lee Din, whatever his name is, was probably isolated himself, right? But the guy's a veteran. He's going into trying to get help from the VA, and he's carrying a Palestinian flag. Look, man,
yeah, but the thing is, what's sad before I play Scott here, is the fact that people aren't looking after their families. They're not looking after their friends or their neighbors.
That's
Too
right.
many people are isolated. And I do it all the time. And they probably think I'm a weirdo or whatever, but I'm on Discord and on my different apps that I'm on and X. I'll send messages and say, hey, I haven't heard from you for a while. How you doing? I do that because if I haven't heard from them, I want to make sure they're okay. And if they say, oh, I'm fine, I've been busy with family, then that's great. But if they don't reply, like I had one guy, I have a guy that I've talked to 2 years ago. He sent me a couple poems that he wrote for me, really sweet poems about Janet from another planet and stuff. And I never heard nothing from him again. And the last time I heard, he said he was feeling ill, that he had some health problems and stuff. And then I didn't hear anything, and I still haven't heard from him. Not one thing. And I keep asking people that are in his friends list, and none of them have replied. So I don't know what happened to him. He probably died. I don't know. And I never will know because I didn't know him personally. But the thing is, it's sad that I asked 5 friends that were in his friends list, and not one of them replied to me. So they didn't even know. So I don't know. I picked those certain people simply because they're the ones that commented on some of his posts. So I thought, okay, they comment on his post, and maybe they do know him pretty well. But then I have others that I'll send messages and stuff to, and over maybe a week or something, they'll say, oh, I didn't see this, whatever. But it's nice to know that somebody gives a crap, that actually cares, that thought enough just to send a message to say, hey, I was checking on you. Want to make sure you're okay. And I do try to do that. But let me play this for you because this is pretty funny. And I don't know what the feedback is, guys. I'm really sorry. I
don't hear anything on my end, Janet.
I know I'm hearing it though. I'm hearing like
but it's not coming back through to us. Or at least
I'm hearing, I don't know. Someone did say they heard feedback in the chat, but I'm sorry, people. I can't do anything about it. But here is this is really good. I want you to see this guy. I really enjoy this guy.
I'll say it. We all know that this act of terror that happened in New Orleans could have been stopped. Now, there's a lot of ways you could say that or how to stop it. But me, I'm stupid because I have no fucking fear, though I walk through the valley. Our federal government is responsible. These days, our federal government is the enemy of its people. They claim to be patriots. But look what they allow to happen. Look who they interrogate and spy on and punish. And look who they let get away with actual murder. Now, this goat fucking cave dweller who committed that crime, Scott, you can't call him that. He was born in America and he served in the army. Let me tell you something. I don't give a fuck if his great-great-grandpappy came over here on the motherfucking Mayflower. He's a piece of shit, goat fucking terrorist sympathizing murderer who slaughtered innocent Americans in this country. Now the feds, they know everything about me. Because I'm controversial. I'm trouble. I do everything by the book. Oh, do I express myself? Do I exercise Amendment 1? Oh, fuck yeah. And they don't like that. But they can only do so much to me. See, I know they follow every fucking thing I do on social media. I know for a fact because they interrogate me every once in a while. I have to go see them or they come to see me. And I'm fine with it because I have no fucking fear. See, our government, folks, was created to be our bitch, not the other way around. See, I know that, and I have no fear, especially when I am righteous. I've done nothing wrong. See, too many of you are fearful. You're afraid of these fucking people, so they take advantage of that, and they spy on you and watch everything you do. They know when I pick a blueberry out of a fucking muffin. They know which side of my asshole's got a boil on it. They know when Granny holding that flag in D.C. what she's saying to her fucking bingo friends. But God forbid the federal agents, our patriotic feds, tune in to what this goat fucker was doing. ISIS sympathizing websites and this and that. Oh, we don't want to invade his privacy or offend his rights. Let's see what Uncle Scotty's doing today. You get what I'm saying here, people? So I need you folks to up your game. Listen, Donald Trump can't do it all. And you know, January 21st is going to start a wonderful transition, but it ain't going to happen overnight. These cocksucking go-fuckers are going to continue this terrorist activity because we allow the feds, because too many of you fear them, to watch you instead of them. Let me put a little cherry on the top of the icing here, shall I? Last night in New York City, in America, thousands of fucking jihadi sympathizers, ISIS sympathizers, marching through the streets of America, chanting, Intifada, down with death to America, under not the American flag exercising their right, the enemy's flag. An actual act of fucking war. And our federal government is nowhere to be seen, interrogating, arresting, questioning the enemy. They're too busy looking at Uncle Tilly, who's putting a flag on his bumper of his car. What Uncle Scotty's painting today. People, please, don't be complacent and put us back to where we were. We can put an end to this by exercising Amendment 1, all of you. It is the greatest gift. So much blood was shed for that, for you to use and express your fucking grievances with the federal government that you own.
I love this guy. He's awesome. I love Scott. He's amazing. I'm going to copy this real quick and I'm going to share it in the chat in case any of you guys want to watch that again. I just love him. He loves this country, and it comes across in everything he says and how he goes about everything. So I just like him, and I just like to share him every so often when he goes on a rant because he's saying exactly what most of us are feeling. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to share that. But let me share this in the chat real quick on Rumble so that everybody can get that later on a replay too. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to the next thing. But yeah, he's he's a lot to take in for some people. Let me see. Is it number 1?
The sadness and the truth of his words is unbearable.
I know it is, and see this guy, you know, he's not in this realm of this certain group or that group, and that's the good thing is that he said exactly the same thing I always say: speak up. If you don't share information and put it out there, okay, once you know facts and you put the facts out there, that's what you got to do. It's not always good news either, but if you don't put the truth out, how's anybody going to know about it? because most people are walking around. I have sisters that I've talked to about some of this stuff, and they're like, I haven't heard anything about that. So it's like, you know, just because they're in your family doesn't mean they're as involved as you are. But I wanted to share this because this was interesting. Sheriff Kevin McHale said the body of decorated SF Green Beret Matthew Liebesberger, 37, was burned beyond recognition in the Cybertruck explosion outside Trump Tower, and was only identified through his tattoos. Officials also revealed at a press conference that his body was found with a gunshot wound to the head. Police found credit cards, his passport, military ID on him, but they are still referring to him as a person of interest as they await DNA confirmation. To add, the weapons found in the Cybertruck were purchased legally on December 30th, 2024, which is perfectly normal because he was in the military. So as far as I know, he was still in the military. On another note, his family said he was a huge Trump supporter and stayed in the military so long, 19 years, because he was so patriotic and loved the Army. They say this is totally against his character and are stunned with disbelief. And then I want to share these pictures real quick. Can you see it? This one of the Cybertruck.
Oh yeah.
Just want to make sure you could see it because I can't see both screens at the same time. Okay, and here's the second one they had. This is what was left of it. Now see, it didn't even blow out the sides of the truck because that's how well built this is made. So well. But look at everything. It's just burned to a nothingness, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's
this is a
fireworks
picture.
are considered white powder. You know, black powder is what they blow up land mines with, right? White powder is, and that stuff has phosphorus coloring in it. It gives it that sizzle and those bright colors and everything. Oh God, that.
Yeah, they said the back end was filled with like mortars and all kinds of different stuff because he was wanting to do as much damage as he could. He just didn't. He underestimated the vehicle he chose because he was trying to make a martyr and to make people see F-U Donald Trump and F-U Elon Musk, basically is what he was doing. But this is a picture of his arm from one of his photographs, and this tattoo was recognized on one of the elbows. That's how they confirmed it was who it was. And this is the weapon that was down on the floorboard by his feet that he supposedly shot himself with before, right before the explosion. So I guess he set it off and then he shot himself so he wouldn't be burned up because he was too much of a coward to tell anyone why he decided to do it. I mean, that's the thing I don't understand is that they're such cowards that they're going to take their own lives. You know what I mean? It's just pathetic. But I just wanted you guys to see that. Because that's
it's nothing new for soldiers to lash out. I mean, think about what's his name, the Oklahoma City bomber.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I think in his head. What he believed was going to happen was he rented this truck because I know he couldn't afford to buy one. Okay, so they had to go. That's what takes a little longer too. When you rent a vehicle, it's harder for them to track down where it came from. You know what I'm saying? So especially if they change the license plate or do a few things. But I knew he couldn't afford a Cybertruck, so he had to have rented it. And the fact that he rented it from using the same app or whatever, and company app as the guy that was in New Orleans that did the truck rental. So that, and they both came from Fort Hood, right? Is that what it's called?
No, Fort Bragg.
Yeah, Fort Bragg.
They call it Fort Liberty now. That's one of those.
Yeah, but the fact that they were from the same base and they both decided to do something like this on the same day, and they rented the same trucks from the same place. I just think it's all interesting, and it's I can't wait to get to the bottom of it. But I do believe that the people in charge in New Orleans are definitely get to the bottom of it. Now this incidents. Sorry, I got the hiccups now about what just happened. I don't know whether or not they will get to the bottom of this or not. Hopefully they will. They hope they find something that gives them a heads up of what happened and why he decided to do what he did. But I wanted to share this next thing. I think it's pretty cool or interesting, I think, and I hadn't seen it yet. But this article, and then I'm going to play this, is talking about Tom Homan warns U.S. national security in grave danger after New Orleans attack and Tesla Cybertruck explosion. So I want to play this for everybody. I'm going to make it bigger. Be sure it's turned up and play.
Tom Homan now, the incoming Trump administration border czar. Tom, great to have you here. And I want to get to New Orleans again in just a second, but we just got this fresh information out of Las Vegas, and the police chief there giving us a lot of new details. I want to get your reaction too. He characterized what they're learning on the ground there in Las Vegas as a suicide with a bombing that occurred immediately thereafter. They're not aware of any other subjects involved in that case. While they are aware of the similarities to the person who carried out the attack in New Orleans, they are not able to directly tie these two events together. They have no evidence that they are tied together, but they do not believe any further threat from that particular incident is out there at this time. What was your reaction to what you heard?
Well, look, I think the further the investigation goes, I think they are going to find a connection between the two incidents. But look, they're both suicide events. The man in New Orleans certainly had no plans to going home for getting out and trading gunfire with law enforcement. So I think both these men realized they weren't going home after this event. But the threats aren't over. I've been on this network for 4 years talking about the threats coming across our southern border. And, we got a record number of known gotaways. Over 2 million people enter this country. We don't know who they are or where they came from or what their purpose to come to this country. They weren't vetted. They weren't screened. They weren't fingerprinted. We don't know who they are. And since the Border Patrol and CBP arrested well over 300 people on terrorist watch list, how many of that 2.2 million who escaped apprehension, who escaped vetting, who escaped fingerprinting came from a country sponsoring terror? Even Christopher Wray, the director of FBI, said numerous times under testimony in front of Congress that this is the biggest national security vulnerability he's seen. I agree with him. So we're not out of the woods. This country is in grave danger. We need to secure that border. And despite what's happened the last 2 days in Las Vegas and in New Orleans, this administration is not stopping. They're still releasing thousands of people every week through the CBP One app, the CHMV program, and Border Patrol continues to release people in this country without proper vetting. This is not a good thing, and I can't wait for the new administration to take power and secure this border and protect our national security.
Well, the police chief was asked about the incident in Las Vegas, if they had seen any motivation and inspiration from any terror group. They had not identified anything there yet, I should say, at least. They said they're very heavily still in the middle of that investigation. But to the point in New Orleans and the FBI update that we all just got a short time ago, the FBI confirmed that the suspect in New Orleans posted videos online Tuesday night claiming that he had joined ISIS before the summer and provided a will and testament. So they did confirm that he was indeed inspired by that terror group to carry out that vicious, violent, heinous act and attack there in New Orleans.
Well, that brings another issue. I think the incoming administration needs to look at insider threat. I mean, insider threat analysis has been put in the back seat by this administration. We got 2 people who served in the military that were that committed these terrorist acts. We need to really dig down into insider threat in our military and our federal service, whether it's the FBI, whether it's other agencies, whether it's the military. Insider threat's a big issue, especially in our industry that has infrastructure responsibilities. We need to drill down and find out about this inspiration and what insider threat is currently in the United States government, military, and in the United States government service, and address them right away. We got to address insider threat. We have to. We can't let this go on any further.
Tom, just to circle back there, you said earlier, and you just referenced again a terrorist connection there in Las Vegas. The police chief said they haven't identified that, but to your point, you said you believed as this investigation carries out in Las Vegas, that I believe you just said you believe they will find a connection. Do you have any other information, or have you been privy to any other information other than what we just directly heard from the police there in Las Vegas?
No, I don't. This is a gut feeling. I've done this for 3.5 decades. I just think there's too many similarities, too much coincidence. I think something down the road they're going to show there's some sort of connection, whether this is they got this, whether it's some same network or where they got the tools to pull these terrorist attacks off. I just feel like there's going to be something down the road, and I could be wrong. It's just a gut feeling I have.
Got it. Well, we know that they're going to keep us posted as that investigation continues. And Tom, we appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and they definitely were connected more than we want to admit. It's sad, but true. Very sad. But this next one I want to share is the actual video of him running down the road from one of the businesses as he was going down Bourbon Street. So hold on, let me open this for you. Yeah, I want to make it bigger. But this is how quick it was. And you saw, and see the road, that's how narrow the road is. That's basically one car and a car parked on the side of the road. These are basically one-way streets. Okay. And they all do that. Every other block is a different direction. And that's the way they have to do it, because that's the only way they can fit the people that live there compared to, and there's a lot of areas that have little parking areas inside, and they have doors that open and the car drives in. That's just the way that they have shotgun businesses. Basically, they're long and skinny and not very wide. But here we go. You see how fast that was?
Yeah.
And see all the people that are jumping out of the way? People are jumping out of the way.
Yeah,
And
a Tesla Cybertruck can go from 0 to 60 in 1.6 seconds.
but there's a guy right here, this person right here, that woman. She didn't make it. She was just standing there talking. All those people on the street, and she's just standing there with those people thinking about where they're going to go in, and then they're told to get out of the way, and it's too late because they didn't know where to go. They didn't know what was going on, and it's just heartbreaking. It just breaks my heart. And you see what's on the sides of the road and stuff, the garbage cans and stuff like that, and everybody was griping about how long it was taking for them to make the grid search to find all the explosives and all the stuff. And I was like, you just don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
After a night on Bourbon Street.
I'm no stranger to the French Quarter.
There's confetti, there's streamers that people are throwing from all the balconies. There's beads people are throwing. People lose shoes, bags, hats. There's bags, there's drink cups just thrown around. And they have whole crews that come in and clean it and make it look as good as it did the morning of, they wash the streets down and everything. It's really, they take a lot of work. And it's just really sad and heartbreaking. But anyone who hasn't been there just can't understand what it's, the way it's set up. That's why I know this guy knew what he was doing, because he knew there was going to be a lot of people there and where he'd be able to turn and get onto Bourbon Street and go down. And knowing Bourbon Street and how full it was, it's not cars like Canal Street, it's people. Basically all a sea of people just walking up and down, going to all the different venues. They're all down there. There's restaurants, there's hotels, there's bed and breakfasts, there's stores, there's voodoo shops. I mean, everything, musical places, jazz party bars. I mean, karaoke bars. I mean, everything you can think of, all through Bourbon Street. That's all there is. That's all it is. And it's a tourist place. The whole thing, the whole French Quarter is pretty much like that. But Bourbon Street's the most famous street for tourists to just go up and down. So it's just very, very, yeah, it does. It does smell very fishy, doesn't it? It's
yeah.
Yeah, and some of his tattoos did burn up. They said that part of one that was on his stomach, they could see part of the tattoo on the stomach, and then the one on part of the one on his elbow. So he was burned up pretty bad. But hopefully they'll get to the bottom of that too. But we won't know for a while. It seems like. I just wish I knew where that feedback was coming from. Have no idea.
Let me turn.
I don't hear anything. Yeah, see, it's coming from you because I'm speaking and I don't hear it. So it is coming from that, but it's okay. It's just
I can
echo.
just mute it. Yeah.
It's just an echo. But the next thing I was going to bring up was another thing that popped across my timeline that I thought was pretty interesting. It's another person talking about the place this guy was staying, and this guy's from New York. So we'll have to wait and see what he has to say. Let me open this up.
It hasn't even been 48 hours, and you have the New York Post walking through the house of the terrorist. Why don't they have it taped off? Why are they not saying this is an ongoing investigation? We can't allow any of the press to come in here and just do a tour. This woman is walking through the terrorist's home as if it's a museum. Oh, look at this. They have a Quran up here. Oh, but there is one Bible down here. Let me make sure I point this out. But there's more stuff in here about the Quran. Really? And then she's walking through and she's looking and says, oh, there's a prayer rug right there. Like, it's just fascinating to walk through this guy's home and just look at how he was living. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Who authorized this? Who allowed this woman from the New York Post to just stroll through it like she's in a museum and checking up and observing everything? People, this is not normal. Y'all let me know if this is normal. I'm going to show you some of this clip. I'm going to show you some of this, and I'm also going to put it in here to where you can find the original clip too, okay? But this is amazing to see happening here. I thought the FBI was all over this. Is this the new norm? I mean, how do we know she's not going to contaminate the crime scene? Because it now is part of the crime scene because this is his home. Make it make sense.
We're here inside the New Orleans terrorist home. You can see that it's been clearly destroyed, the door at least, from the FBI raid yesterday. But if we walk through the home, we see some signs of what he was up to. He had this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around, and different electronics. This is, again, a work setup. Left receipts, just very unkempt in here. If we go over here, actually, you can see the Department of Justice documents here, the search warrant.
I'm going to pause it for a second. We saw this whole thing, but there's one thing that I don't see anything about. And just like she said, it's very unkempt, right? Which means they didn't clean up after themselves. But do you see any powder anywhere for fingerprints? Anywhere. I was looking at the refrigerator, the countertop where these papers are laying down. There's nothing. They did not check this place for fingerprints to see if anyone else besides him or even him, was he the one sitting at these tables making these bombs? You know what I'm saying? It's obvious to me that the FBI did not check for fingerprints in this place because there would be. I have done that before. I have done, crime cleanup afterward, and it's disgusting. There is a tape everywhere. It's just a shambles, but there's dust on everything, black, blue dust on everything. Fingerprints.
That's right.
Did you see any? I didn't see any the first time. That's why I didn't say anything, because I wanted to show this video and then let everybody see it again. Because usually the second time you watch something, you start going, You start seeing things that should be there that isn't. But I'm gonna finish playing his story.
And the property that they recorded here, which seems to be a lot of chemicals. Again, just left in disarray. There's a bedroom back here. And his what appears to be his collection of religious materials, his Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam and his prayer.
And see, with this being open and people seeing that can read that, saying that he had it open to these pages, we don't even know if he's the one that opened it to these pages. It could have been the FBI. There is no fingerprint dust on anything to say who touched what. You know what I'm saying? The FBI is shit. I can tell you right there. They do not. They are not doing their job.
Left of me here.
I know you want to see more content like this. Subscribe and follow. This is LFA TV. My name is Will Johnson.
Yeah, he's right, though. It is interesting, the fact that she was able to go through the crime scene with a camera person, and we don't know how many others were paid, say, hey, I'll give you $100 if you just let me walk through. Maybe it was an FBI guy standing there. Supposedly it's supposed to be watching this place. But see, now it's out. But the thing is, if they've already been there, it's been 48 hours and they've already tore that place up, kicked the door in, did all that shit, right? No fingerprints. So how can they tell you and me, American citizens, that there's nobody else involved? Nobody else helped this guy. Nobody else was involved in any of it. How do they know? They didn't even take fingerprint samples.
Well, Janet,
That's how shitty these people are.
They don't really do the fingerprints the way they used to do them. They do tape now, right? They can put tape.
Where are you going to tape?
Area. They use a clear, special, like 8-inch wide tape, and they put the tape down on, and it literally picks up the fingerprints on the tape. But if I was doing that investigation right there, I'd get the guy's phone. I'd look at all the phone numbers, anybody that he talked to over the last couple of weeks, even a month maybe. And then I would do the tape and get all the fingerprints and then run that against the FBI database to see if anyone that he had been talking to had been in the house. But the technology now is so good, Janet, and they're so... Keep in mind, this isn't Chris Wray we're talking about here. We all know what Chris Wray is. All of us.
I'm just saying.
FBI, the head of
I've
the
lived
FBI
in a couple of different.
Congress.
I've lived in different states, and I've been to quite a few little, incidences where there were robberies, or someone came home and somebody had been in their home. They didn't find anything stolen, but someone had kicked in the door and had been in there eating and stuff. And there was dust on everything. Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it was.
If they can't find any, they will dust looking for them because that helps them.
I'm just saying, I don't feel confident that the FBI has thoroughly investigated that house. I don't. I mean, I really don't. I just can't believe they fingerprinted that whole house in less than 48 hours with tape. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I didn't know anything about. I know they use some tape because I've seen them do it on books and some other different things. I've seen them use it on different types of. You can use tape on flat surfaces and stuff. But what if it's a textured wall? You can't use it. You can't use tape on that. And if you put tape on certain paint and you peel it off, the paint's going to come off with it, not just the fingerprints.
Yeah.
Now you can use tape on glass.
The thing that stands out about it to me is this bomb making material, and they let this reporter go in there. That stuff should all been put in evidence bags and taken somewhere.
They're done. She said they were finished. That they came and went. They're finished. They took everything they wanted. They didn't even take everything off both those tables. Did you see all those tools that were still laying there back there from the other room where they could use to make bombs? Yeah. I mean, it's bullshit. I'm just telling you. And if that woman hadn't been able to sneak in there or whatever to take that video, we wouldn't even know how shitty a job the FBI done. That's pitiful, isn't it? That we have to have some bimbo journalist sneak in and get a video just for us to find out the fact that the FBI doesn't do diddly squat. They just do what they want to and then tell us whatever bullshit they want us to know. That's it. That's bullshit. That, at least that's how I'm taking it. But this next thing is pretty interesting, I thought. Let me hold on. Let me get this up here. Remember, we were talking about the Cybertruck, right? And I said, I showed you the stuff that he supposedly shot himself in the head, like this or whatever, and the gun dropped between his legs. When the truck exploded, he went forward, blah, 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 and burned up really bad. And they used tattoos to do it. But this is an interesting point of view that I found, because I go down when I see a tweet, I read comments and other ads to the whole thing. And this is interesting. This is under a Gunther post. See, Gunther Eagleman posted this about the attacker in Las Vegas, right? Talking about how he was so patriotic stuff. But then I go down and I read this guy. One theory is that he was killed ahead of time and they used the self-driving in the Cybertruck to drive it to Trump Tower. Interesting. Have you heard that point of view?
I have not. But that's the kind. Remember, I was telling you when Elon contacted them immediately, it films anything that goes on around the car, whether you're with it or not, whether it's turned on or not. And it also has all of that data in there. Somebody would have had to type that in and program it in, and they would have been right there on video camera doing it. So if that did happen, they're, too late, too bad.
Well, the thing is that
secure.
I didn't even think about that. I don't own a Cybertruck. I'll never own one because I can't afford one. Okay, it's too expensive. Way, way, way more. I can't even expense. I probably couldn't even afford the insurance on it every month. But somebody was smart enough to think about that and post that for someone like me that wouldn't even have thought twice about it. So when you said about Cybertrucks and you said they are self-driving, I'm sitting here driving and I'm not driving. So you said, right? And I was like, oh, that post could be true. So I went back and I bookmarked it to use for the show, and I put it up there so I could bring it up because I would never have thought of that. So that could be a possibility. And the only way to find out that is to follow that truck all the way back to wherever it came from and find out who was involved and whether or not they put him in there or shot him while he was in the truck and then just drove it there.
I'd be more than certain Elon already did that. Elon.
Well, they know something, and I guarantee Elon knows.
Yeah, well, I guarantee he does too. But Elon loves people, man. He's one of the best people on this planet when it comes to people. From what he'll sacrifice from his own time and money and effort. And I promise you, he contacted them immediately.
Oh, he did. He did, and they thanked him.
I saw him laughing at that Babylon Bee article, because it's truly funny. The guy basically blew himself up and made sure not to hurt anybody else.
Yeah, the thing is, I wanted to share this before I do this other one that was in front of it, but I wanted to share this first. This is about the guy that was in the Cybertruck, but here we go.
Discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle.
One of the handguns.
Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body. That has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as which the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport. And then furthermore, as you'll see here in just a very short period of time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to Las Vegas. And in a number of the photographs that we were able to determine, he was the individual that was driving the vehicle. And also, I'd like to iterate this point to you. We still have only ever seen him.
That's where it ends. I'm sorry. That's all I could get. So I don't know what the rest of this story says, but I'm interested in finding out as much as I can. And I want to follow it a lot closely now, because now that I have this idea that maybe he wasn't alive, maybe he was a patsy to put in there and throw a wrench in the monkey wrench in the whole thing about us being able to figure out who's behind all of it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't trust these people anymore. I do not trust anyone right now. The Miss McCain, all these people after what they've done on January 6th to our people and hiding evidence and stuff and leaving them sitting there. There's still, some of them are still sitting in prison right now for misdemeanors. Nobody, not one person was convicted of, what is it called again? Damn it. Insurrection. Nobody, not one person. Okay. And it's I just don't trust these people. These people are all scum. They lie. They do whatever they want. They set people up to die because it makes them look like they're doing something. The whole thing in Butler, innocent people died because the FBI and the Secret Service just chose to look the other way and let this guy crawl all over the roof. People yelling, "Hey, there's a guy on a roof," for 20 minutes before he even shot at Trump. Stuff like that. Big, giant, gaping holes in the whole setup, and they just walk around like, "Oh wow, we did the best we could," and nobody does anything. How many more innocent people? Here's hundreds more people almost ran over and killed today or yesterday. And, you know, it's, I don't know. This whole thing
what shocks me more than that, Janet?
What?
They're advertising more mRNA vaccines on television, and those vaccines must have killed, God knows, 5 million people, and there's more dying faster. You know, we do need to have that. I know we're running on here, but we should have that space on the whistleblowers about the blood clots.
Well, I'm ready.
What shocks me, Timothy McVeigh went and blew up Oklahoma City Federal Building, right? It's not uncommon for one person to do some radical thing. But the fact that all this noise is going down over this crazy guy, and the fact that they will let them advertise a deadly drug on television like there's nothing wrong with it. The car wreck could have been a psyop. You know, maybe they did get a dead dude and throw him in there and then do that to psyop people out of the fact they're trying to mandate another vaccine when only one person in the entire nation has been hospitalized. Or I shouldn't say that. There's been more hospitalized, one died. And they didn't go to the hospital soon enough. You know, there's a lot more wrong than what's in the surface in American media.
Oh yeah, I understand 100%. I never did get the shot, and I was thankful that I had an allergy doctor that said, "Hey, I don't recommend you get it because we don't know what's in it." So I didn't, and I just kept washing my hands and doing the same thing I always do, anyways, because of allergies. And I've been a lucky person that didn't have anything.
The casualty level doesn't matter to the left. Okay, you know, you got the border, you got child trafficking, you got the vaccine issue, you got go back to the virus issue. They made it, for Christ's sake. What could possibly go wrong, right? But the fentanyl and all of it is about they don't mind taking casualties. And what is that guy, the guy with the New York accent, Scott? He summed it up perfectly. We're at a war, and we're in a war, and we're not fighting back. And they don't care about loss of life. Okay, every one of the mass shootings at schools and everything else has been a left-wing radical. And then they want to know why we don't react when a school gets shot up. It's like, because you're doing that to take our weapons away from us, and you're taking children to do it. Right? Everything they do, there's a motive behind it. That Scott guy summed it up perfectly. I'm looking forward to my next couple of weeks, I can tell you that. With some of the new stuff we found and what's going on, we really going to go after the vaccines first. But this entire, you know, the American life has no value whatsoever. is part of wokeism and DEI and cancel culture. You mentioned, why don't people say anything? Because they'll do something to you. You know, they will.
Hey, I
And
know.
I know they did it to me.
I'm not. I mean, I know that I'm probably going to die on my front porch holding my gun because I'm just not going to comply. I pay my bills. I pay my taxes. I haven't broken the law. I don't speed. You know, I do the best I can, and they don't like what I have to say. YouTube doesn't. I mean, I've had my channel taken down quite a few times for someone who's not even monetized yet. You know, I'm nobody. I barely have 1,000 people, you know, that even are subscribed to my channel, but they don't like what I have to say. And to me, everything I've said and had on, like the one episode I had on, I did a snippet of Tucker Carlson's show, which was still up. It had been up for 3 weeks before I found it and took something out of it that I wanted to show because it went with the rest of the stuff we were talking about. And it was the Surgeon General of Florida. And he was talking about stopping the vaccines in Florida for kids, period, until they could find out some tests, see whether or not the stuff went through the cell membrane and altered DNA. That was what the snippet I did. And then they took it down and said it was medical misinformation and that, you know, I had a strike. So, you know, and then I said, well, I didn't even get to appeal and say, hey, Tucker Carlson still has this up. So why am I getting in trouble for it? You know, why am I the only one in trouble? And then 3 people were on my show with me and they aired it and none of them got in trouble. Just me. Just my channel.
Whistleblowers.
They
over
pick
the
and choose
holidays.
on people.
I've seen 2 whistleblower reports over the holidays. Mm-hmm. And then I've actually seen the results of the pre-human testing that they did on the vaccines. Swear to God, every single thing that we have, the organ clots, the blood clots, the leukemia and everything, it happened in 100% of the animals they tested on, and they hid that and did it anyway.
Well, the thing is, that was some of the stuff I talked about early on when I did one of them. I think it might have been my first or second Team Shit Show that I did. Maybe it was the second one. But I talked about there was some leaks that people had videos that leaked out. They said that there was a laboratory and it had rats in it, and that every single rat in it died. Every single one that was injected with the vaccine died. And this was under Fauci, supposedly. And then the other one was beagles.
Yeah.
Beagles in the lab. And I showed the video and they were all dead. But they still went on to humans, so that's where I had a hard time with it. But apparently I had the wrong point of view.
That's been released to the public now because I saw it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was released. I saw it on TV and I saw it on news, and I did it, and I was either a cyber bully or I was sharing medical misinformation. So instead of putting a warning at the bottom, which they could do and say, this is the whoever's in charge of our vaccines and stuff says that this is perfectly safe or whatever, put that out there, even though I say at the very beginning of my shows, this is strictly the opinions of the people of the panel, period. Okay, this is our opinion. I'm not a doctor. I don't have medical facts. I don't even know. I'm not even an FBI agent, but I can say, man, the FBI sucks. I'm allowed to say that. I have freedom of speech. And from what I saw in that video, told me they left tons of shit in there that I thought could be important. And they just let people walk through their thing and leave documents. They left documents laying out from the FBI on a counter. You know, it's like and the door's kicked off, so anybody and their brother can apparently go in.
Well, it wasn't like they were going to convict him if they found anything in there.
No, but the thing is, we have to know whether or not anyone else
and everything is because the lawyer will beat the evidence in court.
Yeah, but we need to know if anyone else was involved. And how do you know that if you don't look for fingerprints? That's one of the things that I was shocked as shit about. There would be blue all over the front of that refrigerator because everybody eats, even terrorists. But I have another thing I wanted to present. This is about what you were saying about whistleblowers. This was one of the things that I thought was pretty important. I thought it was interesting. Okay. This is from Sean Ryan. I really like Sean Ryan and his interviews, a lot of his interviews that he does. It says Sarah Adams, okay, was an intelligence analyst and targeter at the CIA and writes on national security issues and terrorism, right? So she did this interview with Ryan, and he's got these little snippets I'm gonna share with you. This Steve guy. So let me pause that one because I don't know why they do that, but let me. I'm gonna open this up so you can see it, and I'll play them.
So wait a minute. I just want to clarify. You are 100% certain that there are 1,000 plus Al-Qaeda trained fighters within the United States borders?
Well, Al-Qaeda says they trained and deployed 1,000 for this attack. First off, I think there's more than 1,000 Al-Qaeda members in the United States. But for the Homeland attack, that number is based on what Al-Qaeda is saying. So they could exaggerate it. However, they did have about 1,400 in the Hamas attack. So the number is not off from what they did in the first round of attacks.
So wait a minute.
Okay, so that was the first one. Let me go to the next one. It's in line right here.
I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, something went wrong. Can you hear me, Janet?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything on the screen. We're just sitting here staring.
Oh, darn it. Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Did I not share it? Oh, fart. I'm so sorry, guys. I got to go back up here and do it. I didn't know I had to do that each time. I thought I could go straight to the next, this one right here. I'm going to start it over again. Okay. Now can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone.
What kind of places do you think they're going to target?
So this is what's complicated. So Al-Qaeda's preference, as you can imagine, is symbols of the U.S. or anything that causes economic damage, right? So Capitol is a great symbol. Capitol was actually in, I think the Capitol is, a lot of people are targeting it, but the Capitol was in their propaganda just as 9/11 when they were memorializing 9/11, right? So the Capitol matters. I feel like bridges or any kind of public transportation always matters because it puts costs against us and it causes fear. But here's where it gets complicated. So remember, the terrorists might have their goal is they're going to attack the metro in DC, right? But remember, some of these terrorists are going to be ISIS. And remember, they can change location. So the ISIS guy might go down the metro and say, there's not many people down here. I'll kill 20, but there's a event going on. I'm going to go up there, right? And because ISIS is a little different. ISIS just wants mass casualty. So it's going to be interesting how it works with terrorists that came from different backgrounds and when they get choice.
So some of these terrorist organizations are looking for very strategic stuff like U.S. Capitol, you know, basically U.S. governmental infrastructure and elite. And then on the other hand, you have what I'm used to seeing when we were over there. They just look for the easiest, the easiest, biggest target because they want to kill the most amount of people in the quickest amount of
Yep.
time and get the most price out of it. And so that would lead me to believe universities, churches, stadiums.
Hmm. Farmers markets, those type of things.
How many people, how many fighters do you think we can expect in each attack?
Well, the 1,000 is all of them. So we're calling it's an Al Qaeda planned attack, but within those 1,000 terrorists, some of them are ISIS because they want ISIS to be blamed. We have a theory on it. I hate to throw out theories. We think the actual
It's the first time I think you've ever thrown out a theory.
I know. I just then people are like, she's crazy. I think the more of the fighter types are going to be ISIS because then if they're caught, then they talk. I'm ISIS. I think more of the suicide bombers are going to be Al Qaeda.
Okay. And I'm going to stop that. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to present the next one because there's 4 or 5 of them of her interview. Okay. So now
Sorry.
go down. It's all right. And here's the next one.
I know exactly what that means. So it could also be U.S. and Europe at the
Wait a
same
minute. Get started over.
Will these attacks do you think these attacks will happen simultaneously throughout the United States, or will they be one day here, next day here, another one over here next week?
So they want them coordinated. I don't know if coordinated means all at the same time, or if coordinated means we do it Monday, we do it Tuesday, we do it Wednesday, we do it Thursday, we do it Friday, just do 5 straight days. But they want it coordinated. What's coordinated mean? And the other argument we have, does coordinated also mean US and Europe at the same time? And is Europe all coordinated at the same time? So when they say coordinated, we don't know exactly what that means. So they could also be US and Europe at the same time, which is complicated.
Do you think Europe will see mass casualties, or earlier you kind of mentioned that you think that the primary target in Europe is still U.S. embassies?
No, that's for the wave. So remember, there's a wave of embassy attacks, but then there's this multi-coordinated attack. It's a completely separate wave of attacks. So they're going to get the same October 7th attack in Europe as we're getting in the U.S., as planned right now anyway. And they also, 1,000 terrorists were supposedly trained for the U.S. and deployed, and 1,000 were supposedly trained for the Europe attack and deployed. The embassy plots are completely different with completely different trained terrorists.
Man, why haven't they hit yet?
Because the training takes the time. So for
they're
Israel,
They're here though.
Supposedly.
Okay, so that is that one. And I'm going to go down and tell me if you can see this or not, because if you can't, then I got to start over.
Yeah, I can
you
see
see this one?
Yes.
There's no stop. So these guys are trained, and we already overlaid the video of their training, and they are going to fight until they're killed.
Yes.
There's no stopping them.
Exactly. And that matters, right? So I was watching this video, and it was a suicide bombing in Kabul years ago. And it was the bomber blew up. Okay. And then everyone starts moving in. The first responders move in, right? And then another guy walks in and blows up. We know this is a tactic, right? But if Americans don't understand this as a tactic and don't understand these attackers are going to fight to the death, think about that. So the battle's going on. The attacker surrenders, right? He might have the suicide vest. We let our guard down. That man came to die, right? He's going to fight till he dies or you dies. So we can't let our guards down, and they know our weakness, right? So we have to be very careful that we don't have more people die in these second and third order effects of not knowing their intent.
So these guys are trained.
Okay, that's another thing. Why I was so proud of the way they handled it down in the quarter, because as soon as they saw the IED in the truck, they wouldn't let anybody there, and they cut the whole place off and did the grid search. It's like I was saying earlier, and I think that could have saved lives. And they did find other ones, and they said they destroyed them. They detonated them. So, you know, she's really smart. I'll have to go read her book.
How certain are you that
Yeah,
we'll see
she
something
didn't
in
say anything
2025?
that I have not heard.
I'm certain we'll either
Okay.
have
I'll tell you that.
embassy attacks in 2025 or the homeland attack or both.
How certain are you that we'll see?
See, she said in 2025. So I guess this is the whole thing that you can
Yeah, I
watch.
mean, you have to go back. Some of this stuff she's talking about, and this
Mhm.
is important, goes back to 2012, right? They didn't just all of a sudden train 1,000, right?
I'm
They
gonna
got
copy
1,000, and
this.
they're all over Africa. They're all down in the Caribbean. In the 2022, I spent about 45 days down in the Caribbean, and there were
Mhm.
Chinese battleships down there, and the locals were complaining like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds that sounds horrible. But I just shared the link to the actual show that's at the bottom of this thing, the snippets that you guys got to see in the chat. So if you want to watch the whole episode with the other stuff in it, with the little other things that fill in the gaps, this guy just took out snippets of the stuff he thought was the most important to let you know that, you know, to be on the lookout, that some stuff's going to happen. And just like I was saying, because I do believe our government is complacent with it. The people that are in charge basically are like what happened with Trump, the holes, the giant holes that they've left everywhere. Oh, he got disconnected. But all the giant holes that they left for the bad guy to get in there and kill people and shoot Trump. Okay. That should never have been there. Blatantly obvious to the people that were running around and said, hey, there's a man on the roof, just like I was saying, and other things like that. By not dotting the I's and crossing the T's and doing their job, which you're supposed to do, and that's what they're hired for, the FBI and this CIA and the Secret Service, all of them are supposed to be watching out, listening for all these, I guess, online stuff, you know, and through the airwaves or whatever, of these people communicating with each other to keep it from happening to us, American citizens on American soil. And the border's wide open. So they're going to blame everything on, oh, they came over the border or whatever. We were trying to be good and let more people come here and have the wonderful life of an American citizen. And they took advantage of us, blah, 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 or whatever they want to say. People can still have been coming to the United States since the beginning of our country, and we always had borders, and people had to follow the law, check in, apply to become a citizen, blah, blah, blah. And it takes years. And us just opening the border and letting people wander in and giving them all free stuff, all the people that did come here and follow the rules, learn English, learn classes about a history of the United States of America, all the things that you're supposed to go through to assimilate into the country and become an American citizen. These people are just bussed over, handed a place to live, and here's food, here's everything you need. We're going to take care of everything. You don't have to do nothing. That's not being a citizen. That is just someone coming here and taking advantage of the lesser amount of us, people that are struggling to not live in the street, things like that. Those people are losing those resources because we're spending it on all these illegals, and we're sending it to Ukraine and all these other countries, or whatever it is they're doing with it. They're wasting money. We couldn't even help our people after a hurricane and mudslides and stuff. We had people in tents still, because our FEMA did not do their job. They say they didn't have any money when they send trillions of dollars to other countries. That's because it's mismanaged. They're not spending the money that we work hard every day at our jobs, and they take taxes out. It's supposed to take those taxes and use it to protect us on our own soil, but they're not doing it. They're using it against you and me, telling us, you and me, that we're the bad guy because we don't agree with what they're saying or what they're doing, and that we don't want to send all of our money to Ukraine. we should be America first. Ukraine should be their people first, and China should be their people first. And every country should take care of their own damn people, and it shouldn't be up to us. Shouldn't be up to us to pay their way. And I agree that we shouldn't. I don't think we should pay their way anymore. I'm tired of paying their way, and I think that he said his phone died. His phone died. Oh, he's inside. He didn't have it plugged in. But thank you so much for joining me. Anyways, it was nice to have somebody on here with me to talk about this stuff. But I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. Soy Base Jeremy, Bone was in here. Let's see who else. Baby Girl was in here. Oh, Cotton Ministries was in here. Low Spec, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Canadian Spider-Man, yeah, he was in here. Rye Davis was in here. Snorter Poopus, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm trying to catch up from, because I did a live stream yesterday for over 8.5 hours because I was so upset that this happened in a town that I left to come where I'm at now. And it was heartbreaking for me. There he is. Welcome back. You plug your phone back in?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. But I was just saying, thanking everybody that's in the chat for joining me on X and YouTube and on Rumble. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to see the live stream that I did yesterday for 8.5 hours, where I started at the beginning, right after information was first coming in, because I was in my pajamas all day and I just drank coffee and just kept sharing whatever I could find. Any information that was coming out, I was trying to share it. About the Cybertruck explosion, a video that someone sent me about the guy that was in New Orleans and his business. He was doing a YouTube video for his business. Hey, hire me to be your realtor, blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is the same guy, because we had the picture we shared of him dead in the street without it being blurred out. And that's on there. There's lots of video of the street and the people in the streets that aren't blurred out, because we had people send us good videos and stuff that we were sharing, because the people on the news aren't going to share a lot of that kind of stuff. But the thing is, when I saw that picture, the guy laying in the street, I was wondering what that was on his neck, because it was a strap and it had a little box or something on it. And I said, I think that strap is so that he could detonate those bombs. So I don't know if that would have worked or not, because apparently somehow they didn't go off, or he wasn't able to detonate it before they killed him. So I'm thankful for the police officers, and 2 of them were shot defending their city from a terrorist. But and then I saw people, and then I had this one guy, I can't remember what his name is, but it's on my thing as I shared it. Some guy had posted a video of the people getting run over in the street, just like I was sharing, because there's lots of that. Because you could tell the videos that we were using were from the balconies, because like I said, all the streets that go up and down that grid, there's a balcony all the way, different balconies all the way down the streets on both sides, because people live there, or they rent those out, and then you can stand up there and throw beads down, or stuffed animals, or whatever you want to do. And throw confetti or streamers. That's why the streets are always dirty with paper and stuff, because people are down there having fun, partying, listening to music, and just enjoying themselves. And that's what it's meant for. So I showed that, and then I saw this guy sharing that. Okay. But he said at the top of his post, he said, this guy, the guy that supposedly ran down the street, and killed people, just came over the border through Eagle Pass and did this. And I was like, no, that is not true. That is not true. Do not share this, because this guy is lying. This is an American citizen that did this act. We've seen him. We know it's him. I seen him dead. And here's the pictures. And I made a video with 2 pictures. The one from the people were showing on the news, and the picture from his video that he made. And I made my own video and put it together, and I put it on my timeline, and I shared that on the live stream too. way before the news were saying, oh, look, we found a video. It's been taken down from YouTube now, blah, blah, blah. It's the same video. And I also sent it to Laura Loomer and a few other people because I wanted people to see that it was the same guy, that because we saw the picture of him laying in the street. At least Bruce did. A friend of his sent it to him and Bruce shared it on here. So you can see all of that if you go back and watch my live stream on Janet's Universe over Rumble, or you can watch it, go down my timeline on X and go down to the one that says terrorist attack or whatever. It's just a couple days, so it hasn't been that long. And watch it, and then you can get all, you can fast forward through it or whatever, but you can get all the new information. And I shared stuff in the chat, so if you have the live chat turned on, you can see it. It's like I do try, even though I have to go to 3 different places to put chat, because StreamYards is owned by, I think, by Google, and they don't want to share anybody's stuff but YouTube apparently. But hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that, but it's the truth. So I did the best I could to share as much truthful information as I could, and to stop people from sharing lies, to get people upset and go out and hurt an innocent person that came over the border simply because they're mad, thinking that all of them are terrorists. Well, guess what? What we just saw yesterday was 2 American soldiers that committed terrorism in our country. That's what we saw. So, we can't always point the finger and say it's all. Maybe that's why they left the border open. Maybe they want us to go into war with our neighbors and people that are getting free handouts, and that we're fed up. Yeah, I'm fed up. But the best way to get rid of them is to send them back over the border, not go out and slaughter people. So please do not do something dumb because you're upset and you're mad. Go to your city council, go to your mayors, go to your sheriff's department, say, hey, we want these people deported, and start working in your communities to get rid of these people if you don't want them around. But right now we have a crisis because we have 2 people that we've already found out that both went to the same military base. Well, 3. We had the guy that tried to shoot Trump. He was also at the same base. We have 2 guys that killed themselves or knew they were going to die. One in the Cybertruck that blew up in front of Trump Tower in Vegas, not realizing that the truck that he used was so good at safety issues, it didn't let this explosion blow up the building. As I think he was expecting something like what happened to Oklahoma City bombing, but he didn't get that. Thank goodness. I'm happy for that. And he won't get his 42 virgins. I don't think he was even saying he was doing it for ISIS, but because I didn't see anything at all that said that. I just think he was trying to give a big FU to, Trump, and to, Elon Musk, trying to tell them FU and look at I'm going out with a bang or whatever. I don't know what he was doing. He's nuts. And then the other guy, he was a guy that his wife left him. He got divorced. He was bankrupt. He didn't have, he's losing everything. And all he could do was reach out to somebody, which was ISIS. And they told him, hey, you can go out in a bang of glory and get 72 virgins and whatever else. I don't know how they get someone, but I guess you have to be pretty low, pretty bad shape to believe some of the stuff that these people are pumping into these people. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get away with brainwashing someone that way, especially online. That just seems, I don't know. It just doesn't seem normal. It seems very, very weird that you could brainwash someone online that you don't even see in person. So,
Janet,
yeah.
Let me, buried in all of that, the disinformation thing is really big. And on Christmas Day, somebody took a picture of the map of Israel the night that they fired 1,000 missiles there.
Mm-hmm.
And said it was happening on Christmas. So I called somebody in Tel Aviv and everything was quiet and everything was perfect. If all of us, every one of us, every time we see something like that come up, needs to immediately fix it. And a lot of that goes on in community notes, but it needs to be done out in the open platforms as well, because I mean, those kind of things can really trigger people to really worry.
Mhm.
You know, if they really fired 1,000 missiles at Israel on Christmas Day, imagine how that would have played into what we're talking about tonight, right? The
Yep.
truth is okay to know, and people should know the truth. But the gaslighting, screaming, you know, fire in a crowded theater, that's against the law. It's a misdemeanor. And guess what gaslighting is?
Yeah.
It's lying on purpose to try to cause fear, and it's a misdemeanor. So
Yeah, it's
every
just
time
like
we
what
see it, we need to
the
stop.
lady was just saying about they want to hit you to hurt you for the money, and they want to make people be in fear, basically. And that's why what I said from the very beginning. The first time they had the podium and they had Landry out there, they had the mayor, and then they had Kennedy come out, Senator Kennedy, and all of them were behind the podium, and they were all talking about what they know and what was going on and what they were going to do, and they were postponing the game for the one day. And when they were doing all that, and the people were saying, oh, they shouldn't have the game, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that. And I was like, they got to have the game, okay? Because if they don't have the game, the terrorist wins, period. And it hurts the city that needs revenue from tourists to make a living, to pay all the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that work in New Orleans. Most of them are tourist-based industry, hotels, casinos, restaurants, all the different stuff that they have there, the gator fishing, just everything is set up for tourism. And when I lived down there, I'd go down the quarter and sell my art. I sell my handbags. I did commercials. I did tons of stuff. I loved that place. I was in a couple music videos. I did a lot of stuff because I was able to, and it was within a small area because I lived in Metairie. I lived right there. I mean, and my friends would come and I'd take them down to Veterans Boulevard and we'd go to the parade. I'd take them to a couple little hole-in-the-wall places to eat. It was wonderful, and the people were wonderful. It's a wonderful city, and yes, they have crime, they have criminals, they have that in every city. There's not a single city that doesn't have crime, but they did the best they can with everything they have, and there's thousands of good people that live there, and I hope they get to the bottom of this and prove whether or not he was working with anyone or whether it was just a nut job that picked this place to do this because he wanted to go out with a bang and get his name in the paper or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not crazy, so I can't think like him. But the thing is that this city has to survive. This city is the livelihood for 100,000 people at least. I know, because all that surrounding area survives with what's going on in New Orleans. I mean, they have a huge stadium. They have tons of football games. They have basketball games. They have baseball games in New Orleans. They have all kinds of festivals, jazz festival. I can't even think straight right now. Mardi Gras. I mean, there's just so much going on all the time. And it's a city it never sleeps. Okay. Just like they said, it was 3:00 in the morning. There was still people partying in the street on Bourbon Street, because that's what people do when they come to New Orleans. It's for partying. You go to a voodoo tour, ride a Segway around and look at all the cemeteries. Go to the gator farms, go on airboat rides, go to the zoo, go to the water park. I mean, there's just the insectarium. I mean, there's just so much there for families and for young couples, college students, everybody. I mean, it's just something for everyone. And I don't want to see that ever end. And that's why I pray that these people get to the bottom of all of it so that it doesn't hurt the tourist industry. That's the one thing I wanted to say before we were going to leave. And but I'm going to let Chris have something to say if you have something you want to add before we go.
I just want to say hey to everybody and thank y'all for dropping in. I always enjoy doing these with you, Janet. It's always fun.
Thanks. And I'm sorry your phone died, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up. And Joe's Atmosphere, I shared his little thing, his home state. It wasn't my home state. I wasn't born there, but man, I loved it when I lived there. It was a wonderful, it's my favorite city in the United States that I've ever lived in. I loved it. It was just wonderful, and it was a good city, and there was good people there. Yeah, and you do have bad people everywhere, but there was more good people than there were bad, I felt.
Yeah,
But
people that can't get to Europe and see the old world. I mean, New Orleans and Charleston, you know, they have sort of the same kind of little downtown wharf area from the old days with the
Yeah.
one-lane roads.
a
And
lot of
everything
movies have been
one way.
made in some of
Yeah.
the areas down there too. I mean, I did TV series. We did tons of stuff down there.
Yeah,
It was just,
that's what
it was
it's like,
just
is old
wonderful.
Europe, like an old Italian city.
But I'm going to end again with my favorite Kid Rock video right now because we need it, and it's to help people accept each other and learn to fight side by side with each other. But before I close, I do want to play my other video that I think is important for everyone because I didn't get to play it today so far. But I'm going to play this and then I'm going to close out. But hope you guys enjoy it.
Coming this spring to MXNBC, a groundbreaking series that will change the U.S. government and the world forever. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, under the direction of former star of The Apprentice, Donald Trump, will challenge 3 million contestants to carry their load or hit the road. That's right. We'll be asking every government employee to prove their value.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Just like in a good old-fashioned meritocracy.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in. What would you say it is that you do around here?
I mean, a lot of days I really do stuff. It's just there's not that much going on today.
I helped Tanner and Blaze replace those heavy 5-gallon water containers.
Tune in each week as Elon and Vivek measure every federal employee's value and efficiency.
And time. So your study on how cocaine enhances the sex drive of Japanese quail. What's that worth to the American taxpayer?
I think it's priceless.
And get ready for the savings as those that don't make the cut get shown the door.
The president wants to tell you something.
Firstly, thank you for coming in today. And second, you're fired.
The Emmy Award-watching viewers of Deadwood and Idiocracy present Doge Days, the purge of the U.S. government.
There is a whole forest of dead wood out there. We got to get chopping, buddy.
Yeah, I love that video so much. It's great. I can't believe how much I like it. It's just makes me laugh. So, hope it's.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again.